Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today we're going to be talking about Rainbow Six, some Star Wars Battlefront, and even some Hardline news. Now the first thing I want to talk about with Rainbow Six Siege is basically a blog update where they came out with some statistics about the closed alpha of the game. Now usually when AAA titles post a statistics graphic, it's usually a lot of bullshit information that nobody cares about, like how many bullets fired over this period of time, or how many people died, or grenades thrown, things that might seem impressive as figures but really mean nothing in the long run, and I don't think anybody really cares about those stats as much. Now instead, Rainbow Six Siege posted an infographic that showed a lot of really interesting information regarding the game's balance, what classes were being played the most, who won, attackers or defenders. Defenders apparently won a lot more than attackers did. What were the most popular places to defend on each map, and which places won the most when choosing them as a defensive location. This is all information that they can translate directly back into the design of the game and improve it and balance it better. And it's really cool that they gave all that information to us as alpha participators, so we can actually be like, oh yeah, I totally noticed this while playing, and it's awesome that you guys, the developers, are gaining that information and actually applying it to the design of the game. They also track the kill-death ratio of each operator class, so they can try and figure out if one of them is a little bit more powerful than the others to try and balance out the classes. They tracked which guns were being used the most and which ones were getting the most kills overall. And they even have the average kill distance, which is probably my favorite statistic that came out of the whole infographic, and it's something that I would love to see this infographic for all games because I think it's one of the most important statistics for balancing weapons. The average kill distance in Rainbow Six Siege closed alpha was 22.4 feet or 6.84 meters. This tells you so much about how the gameplay and the combat flows, and it allows you to balance your weapons around these distances a bit better. I think what would be an even better statistic is the average distance at which a target was shot. That would give you a better indication of what distance people were engaging people at, and also break that up into each weapon class. If shotguns are mostly being used at close range, then that's fine, but if assault rifles are engaging at further ranges, that'll tell you how to balance those specific weapon classes around those ranges, and it's a great idea, and I really hope other games will learn from Rainbow Six Siege, and rather than posting their kind of BS infographics, post something more useful like this. I would love to see the average kill distance, the average hit distance for Battlefield 4 with each weapon class. That would also give you a great idea on how to balance guns. I think SMGs, or rather PDWs in BF4, have always been underranged and not that effective weapons in general, so I would love this kind of infographic to come back so we could get a much better idea on how to balance weapons in Battlefield. Anyway, if you happen to play the closed alpha or you're just interested in the game at all, I highly recommend checking out the infographic for yourself. I'll put the link in the video description. Now moving on to Star Wars Battlefront, there's been a little information coming out of executive producer Patrick Bach about the development of the game and the fact that they don't feel obligated to borrow things from other shooters in a sense. And this might seem a little bit vague, but he specifically said that a lot of the guns in the game are not going to have aiming down sights as one of the feature. For example, if you ever watch any of the original trilogy films, you'll see stormtroopers shooting their laser guns or their blaster rifles, and they're not aiming down sights, they're hip firing the whole way. So you can imagine that maybe they have some sort of user interface up on their helmet display showing them where they're pointing their guns, so they wouldn't need to shoulder the weapon to fire it, I guess. So that kind of makes sense, and in a video game environment it also kind of makes sense. So it's very interesting that they're choosing to go this route. It will look much more like Star Wars, having the blaster pistol down at your side, very Counter-Strike feel when shooting weapons. It's not to say that all guns in the game won't have aiming down sights. Some of them will have scopes, sniper rifles and stuff like that will all have scopes, but as for any weapons that don't really have built-in scopes, you won't be aiming down sights with these guns. So expect that at launch, and expect this to be something entirely different. It looks like they're going for as authentic of a Star Wars feel as possible, and if that means not aiming down sights of your blaster rifle, then you're not going to be aiming down sights. Personally, I'm not really sure what to think of this. I prefer shooters with aiming down sights in them, but I haven't played Star Wars Battlefront. I don't know how it's balanced. I don't know how the gameplay is going to be. So this could be totally fine in the long run. Might have to adjust my sensitivity settings since I have dual sensitivity, one for hipfire, one for aiming down sights, and if some of the guns don't even ADS, I'm going to have to adjust that just to play this game, but I am looking forward to playing it regardless. We'll have to see what DICE has done. Now moving on to Battlefield Hardline, Zach Moonbach, a multiplayer producer, was recently on a Don't Revive Me Bo podcast, and they were talking to him about the dwindling PC player population. And this is definitely something that is a big concern for me. I did a video not long ago talking about how the PC player base for Hardline was just very, very small. It's still pretty strong on next-gen consoles, but on PC, it's pretty hard to get into a specific game mode that you're looking for. You really only have like 3 to 4 servers to choose from most of the time. So that's kind of a shitty issue if you're playing on PC and you're looking for a diverse server base to pick from. You just don't have that many options. And according to Zach, they were expecting not as many PC sales for Hardline because the PC community has always been a bit more oriented around tactical shooters and military sim shooters and stuff like that. Something, again, I addressed in my last video talking about it, and that makes a lot of sense. I just think the numbers for PC are probably even smaller than even they were expecting. And they are aware of this, and they want to increase PC player population, and I think that's a good goal. They think that CTE might revive the Hardline experience a little bit because they're coming out with the new map on CTE before the DLC drops, and so that might inspire more people to play on PC. But I am a little bit skeptical of CTE having any effect over the PC player base. I think they're going to need to take slightly more drastic measures, like doing a PC free-to-play weekend or reducing the price on PC. I mean, quite honestly, if the player base just dies off on PC, I'm not going to be covering the game. And it's really not just a concern of being able to make YouTube videos on it, but I really like playing Hardline. I've invested a lot of time in unlocking guns and getting new camos and all this stuff. I like the game. I think it offers a great alternative to the over-the-top spam fest of BF4, getting UCAV'd constantly, getting mortared, getting blown up by AC-130, getting just killed by all these weird little gadgets and bullshit devices. Hardline is a simpler game. The vehicles are not quite as overpowered in it, and you always feel like as an infantry class you can do something to fight against them. Your grenades do a lot. I think it's just a fun game, a good balance. It puts a lot of the power back into the infantry rather than the big vehicles, and it's just a nice diversion from the militaristic Battlefield franchise. Unfortunately, there's just not enough people interested in that. Now, if it's any consolation, Visceral certainly isn't going to abandon PC. CTE's coming out on that. They're going to continue to work on improving netcode. The netcode improvements in BF4 coming over to Hardline as well. So it's not going to be a platform that's just forgotten about, but I think they need to do more than just the CTE to get the player population back in Hardline. And I would say go as far as reducing price or doing some free-to-play weekends or whatever just to get the community a little bit more involved, because I think there's a lot of people out there that would actually like this game that just haven't given it a try yet. And I truly believe that because one comment that I see over and over again in all my Hardline videos is people saying that they weren't expecting to enjoy this game, but they've actually ended up having more fun playing Battlefield Hardline than they have any Battlefield game in the past. And I think a lot of that is due to the excellent balance between vehicle and infantry combat. Anyway, that wraps it up for the news on what's going on in the shooter world. Let me know what you guys think about not being able to aim down sights in Battlefront. Is that going to kill the game for you? Or are you still really, really excited? As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.